He stopped mid-sentence, his words trailing off into silence. Reaching into the inner pocket of his tailored jacket, he pulled out a worn brown cloth. Without a word, he brought it to his mouth and coughed hard. Deep, rasping coughs that seemed to echo with something more than just illness. For a moment, the room felt heavier, the sound lingering like an unspoken truth. He folded the cloth carefully, almost ritualistically, and slid it back into his pocket. His hand lingered there for a moment before he exhaled, straightened up, and met her gaze again. "Sorry about that," he said softly, his voice rougher now, as if the cough had stolen something from him. "Where was I?" Something was terribly wrong. I could feel it. Kurt swallowed hard. "We should call campus security." The weight of his words hit me hard. Kurt, shaking and pale, was fixed on the floor. Kurt started sobbing. What did I do? She pushed me. I pushed her back, and then she fell, and there's blood. I didn't mean to. Blood, the word pulsed in my head. A stain on the floor, spreading. A crime scene. My pulse slammed against my ribs, erratic, deafening. We should call someone. Call someone. Call someone. Kurt swallowed hard. We should call campus security. His voice barely cut through the static in my head. Dan moved first, a sudden blur. He snatched the phone from Kurt's trembling hands before he could dial. "Idiot, are you trying to get us arrested? What we need is a plan, not campus security." His voice was sharp, low, surgical. "I've already got 2 warnings from the dean. A third, and I'm done. A plan. What kind of person hears this and thinks about a plan?" I felt something cold slither down my spine. I wasn't like them. I wasn't supposed to be here. I was the quiet one, the nobody. I didn't drink, didn't party, didn't know how to talk to people, let alone handle this. I was the outsider, the one who watched from the edges, the one who played it safe. My friends were my computer, my comics, my world of predictable fiction. But somehow I was here, in this room, with them, with her, and she wasn't moving. But in the chaos and confusion, Dan turned to me, desperation written across his face. "CPR," he said. "You're a health student. You know CPR, right?" I was a 4th-year medical student. Of course, I knew CPR, I thought, as my instincts, or maybe a touch of heroism, pushed me to help her. I could feel my own heartbeat pounding beneath my ribs, but my arms, they weren't listening. My hands pressed against her chest, pushing, counting, 1, 2, 3, but it was like I was moving through water. The room warped, sounds stretched and distorted, the air itself thick with something invisible and suffocating. Olivia didn't move. Her body was too still. I knew CPR. I knew the textbooks, the procedures, the science. The human body was a machine. Input, output, function, response. She should be responding. But she wasn't. My breath hitched. What if she's already gone? I shoved the thought down and forced another breath into her lungs, but something gnawed at the edges of my mind. A whisper of doubt, a sliver of wrongness. Dan hovered over me, his presence pressing down like an unseen weight. "Keep going," he urged, voice tight. Kurt was pacing now, hands tangled in his hair. His breath came fast and erratic. "We need to call someone. Dan snapped, his voice like a whip. "Not yet. Not yet." I nearly choked on the words. A sick realization began to take root in my gut. Dan wasn't watching Olivia. He was watching me. I could feel his gaze, calculating, waiting, weighing something I couldn't name. The urgency in his voice wasn't fear. It was something else. I swallowed hard, my vision swimming. 1, 2, 3. The room was shrinking. The walls felt closer, the air colder. My pulse was hammering, but my fingers, my own hands, felt like they weren't mine anymore. I blinked, and for the briefest second, I saw something else. Not the room, not the apartment. Something darker, something before this. A flash of something I couldn't place. I gasped sharply, snapping back into the moment. And then Olivia's lips parted, a sharp, rattling breath. I jerked back, nearly losing my balance. Her chest rose, then fell, then nothing. And in the dead silence that followed, Dan exhaled. Not in relief, in acceptance, like he already knew, like he had always known. And suddenly, I wasn't sure if I had saved her or if I had just done exactly what he wanted. My body started to fail me. My limbs grew heavy, my head spun, and the world around me blurred. I felt like I was sinking into a fog, into nothingness, dizzy, sluggish, and utterly powerless. My legs gave way, and the darkness took me as I passed out.